Jack's RPG Podcast. I'm in Max. Pursuing the RPG hobby with reckless abandon.
Hello. I'm working. I'm on. Yes, I'm
Yes,
on.
you're on.
And welcome to Happy Jack's RPG Podcast, Season 19, Episode 18. Did I say my name?
No, you did not.
Nope.
My name is Stu.
Hi, this is Stork. I'm trying to get... Oh, I got my phone on vibrate there. Finally figured it out. And to my right is my daughter Emily.
Hi, I'm Emily.
I heard some news today.
Oh boy.
Norway has begun barcoding their naval vessels so that when they pull into port, they can Scandinavian. I'm Proby Tim.
You're not funny.
He's doing dad jokes. That's his next thing.
That's my new thing. It's dad joke. Stu's clapping. It was good. It was good. That was
That's
funny.
a good one. It's good.
I test them all out at my work during the day, and I got more laughs than groans with that one.
Well, if you tell enough of them, maybe they'll be grown up.
Oh.
You're not funny.
Nope. It's another dad joke.
Puns are not allowed to be funny.
That's the rule. There's a rule.
In this episode of Happy Jack's RPG Podcast, Taylor asks how to frustrate characters without frustrating players. Andreas muses about role-playing without the fantastic. Zoomfarg asks about running a cyberpunk noir sort of game. And Axel has some thoughts about passive players. But first, if you'd like to email us, you can email us at happyjacksrpg@gmail.com. That's happyjacksrpg@gmail.com. We are on the social medias. We're on Twitter.
The meteors.
HappyJacksRPG, all one word. And we're also on the Instagrams.
Can they comment on the meteors?
Yes, they can comment on the meteors.
No, comment on the meteors.
Hey-o. You can also, if you'd like to watch us live, we stream this show Friday night at 8 p.m. Pacific time. Go to happyjacks.org/.
See, now you're making an asteroid of yourself.
I know, I am.
Happy Jocks, that's a totally different podcast.
Oh boy.
Wait,
By
Google
that
that.
domain.
happyjacks.org/live. And therein you will find our chat room. And our chat room is there. Hello, chat room. Hello.
Hi, chat room.
I see Clan Hannah and Sergito and Savage Talker of the Hill People.
You really
and
need a
Bustin'
mirror
Chops.
for that.
I know, and like the magic mirror from Romper Room.
Romper room.
And let's see, and yeah, that's it.
See, that was a really old show when we were all kids, Romper Room, and they had a little mirror and they went around the room.
No.
And then I see Stu.
It's on
and
YouTube.
I see Stork. It's on YouTube.
Wow.
With Stewie and Storky and Tammy.
That's right. That's right. It would have been. Yeah, it would have been. Yeah. So you just bringing you up to speed.
Okay.
So, frustration from Taylor on. Hey, Stu. Short one here. Is that his name?
Either that or he's...
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
He's secure enough.
How can you make the characters frustrated without making the players frustrated? Thanks, Taylor on.
A short one would basically frustrate... That's going to frustrate anybody.
The characters without frustrating
I think
them.
that's
What are we talking about?
I think that's the shortest email we've ever received.
No, I've had one that was just a PS.
I thought about this a lot after receiving this fine documentation. And I can say that I don't know.
Really?
Because when I role-play my characters, I feel what my character is feeling. That's how I'm able to role-play it properly. So if my character's frustrated, I'm kind of frustrated. If my character is angry, I feel a little bit angry. Not like in a crazy psychotic kind of way, but you have to kind of have a little bit of that emotion to channel it through into your character. There was a scene in the Moat recently. I miss Scully. There was a scene in the Moat where Scully got really angry at Riley and a couple other people, and I wound up yelling, and I was angry and yelling because arg. And I actually felt a little angry because I had to have that emotion to channel it in to the role playing. I actually think I remember, leaning over and whispering to Sam, "That totally wasn't personal. I'm not really angry.
I'm not
I'm not mad at you. I'm totally
player on player. But I don't know. let's see if I can come up with an example. Mac was really frustrated in that Albert can't communicate well. Okay, so she latched on that, and she's pissed at him right now, and her character's frustrated, and yet Mac and I seem to get along pretty well. I don't know. You'd have to ask her. She's not here to defend herself, so I'm just going to assume that we're okay. But the crux of it is that she latched on something within the story to be frustrated about, and not something that's a personal thing that crosses boundaries.
I wonder if so if you look at actors, right? Mm-hmm. You've kind of, and I might be talking a little bit out of turn. It's been a long time since I did any sort of acting or anything like that. But you kind of have two types of actors. You have actors, and then you have method actors. You have someone like what's his name?
What's his name? Yeah, Dustin Hoffman.
No.
Kevin Spacey.
Warren Beatty.
No, hold on.
Kurt Russell.
He was
Isabella Adjani.
He was in Gangs of New York. He played Lincoln.
He played Lincoln in Gangs of New York?
No.
Gregory Peck.
No. The guy with the glass eye?
I know who it is now.
Yeah.
I know who it is now. We're just gonna tease you until you figure it out.
He's a method
I don't know
actor.
what you're talking about yet.
Oh, you guys. Do you know who I'm talking
Leonardo DiCaprio.
No, but the other guy. He played... Why can't I remember his name? I'm drawing a total blank. Oh, this is so frustrating. Anyway.
Daniel Day-Lewis?
Yes, Daniel Day-Lewis. Oh, my God. Thank you. Thank you.
Why did you give it to him?
Oh, thank you. I was starting to sweat there. But Daniel Day-Lewis, he becomes the character from day one. And he is the character through all of the filming, even when he's not on scene or when they're done. He goes home and he's that character the whole time he's filming the show.
Sure.
And then you have someone like, I don't know, Tom Cruise, who probably is the character when he's doing the scene.
Jimmy Stewart, who's kind of like this the whole time.
And then, when he's done, he walks away. So I wonder if there's a little bit of that going on between someone like me, who needs to feel a little bit of frustration to invoke it in their character, and someone like Mac, who can be like, oh, wow, she's going to be frustrated because Albert can't talk very well, so grr, arg,
Well, but that's, all actors end up getting genuinely angry. However you get there, that's what method is about. Is it's a tool for you to get to that emotion and make it real and make it believable. And when you're role playing, you get caught up in the moment, and, and you're genuinely angry at that moment. But you are literally playing your character. And then when the scene kind of ends, you're like, I need a beer. That was fun.
Yeah, exactly.
Woo. But you're not. You leave the table without holding grudges and things.
Sure.
Let's play the converse. The converse is when somebody as a player is, let's say, hiding clues from the rest of the party, or even when you ask. Or okay, maybe that's too close to stuff that's happened.
Putting stuff in their bags.
or it's something that's a player on player thing, and then that baggage, or you bring baggage to the table. There's two people don't get along, and then they snipe at each other through the course of the game, and it's veiled under, oh, I'm just playing my character, I'm going to assassinate him when he sleeps. It's like, dude, you never liked him. Why are you doing that? Or whatever. That's the converse of this, which is when players don't like players, and then it seeps into the role playing. I think a good role player, like a good actor, can leave it at the table, can leave it on the set.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Other people can't, and it gets personal. And I think that's the line that gets crossed. And we've seen that happen. People leave the table pissed off.
Yeah, we have seen that happen.
And, not necessarily even here, but I've seen it happen in many a game where people leave the table pissed off. And that is a problem. And that's, I think, what he's addressing here.
Yeah, that's what he's saying without making the players frustrated.
I wonder, first off, with regards to Mac, she will often text me before a session and say, I'm kind of thinking something like this, or she will cue me into what her character is thinking of to give me a little bit of preparation. So sometimes she's not really even surprised as a player. She's more, this is kind of what I'm thinking that she might be doing in the future or whatever. So
just writing backstories, yeah.
Well, not even backstory. It's stuff that
It's just like day-to-day prep.
Stuff that she's thinking that her character might try to do in the next session. She's giving me a heads up on it, which is nice, because that gives me the ability to not have to improvise it and actually sit down and prep it.
Prep for a little bit,
nice.
Yeah.
But the thing I wonder about this, because personally, I don't think it is in the GM's control to frustrate characters without frustrating players. That's in the player's control.
That is true. Yeah.
Well,
That is.
Not necessarily. There are things that GMs can do that are really annoying to players.
Oh,
that
yes,
like,
absolutely.
I was in a game once that we were playing we were playing D&D 3.5, and he didn't tell us that he'd written it in a way that no one was supposed to survive. Like, he'd written it like a Call of Cthulhu game. And none of us knew this, so we were all going to die. And it was really frustrating for everyone. Yeah, it's awful.
Kobayashi Maru.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
is.
it totally is.
Yeah.
That's
And-
a TPK game.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm a TPK everyone.
Told to put the kill for the win. I win.
I win.
GM for the win.
GM wins. Woot.
So, yeah, that's... There's things that you can, like, not do that will not frustrate your characters and your players.
Sure.
But then there are other just normal games. You can frustrate there are a lot of ways to frustrate the characters. But I think that most of it is like the problem-solving stuff. That if you're actively trying to frustrate your characters, you're kind of gonna end up frustrating your players.
Absolutely.
Like, just write a good story.
But what I think I'm seeing with this email is he's seeing his players get to that point where they're starting to get kind of angry or getting too frustrated, and he's trying to figure out how to dial it back. And I don't think you can dial it back
No.
without dialing it back on the characters. That's a cue for the GM to say, hey, you know what?
Stop being a dick.
Maybe this
Maybe we should
puzzle's
talk
too
about that.
hard.
Yeah.
Maybe I can have someone make an intelligence roll and give them a clue. Or maybe instead of trying to open this unopenable box that only has one way to open it, maybe I can say yes to some other possibility on how to open it and just let them get on with the story.
Yep.
Because, I mean, we've all heard stories about someone that, you know, there's some sort of puzzle or some sort of conundrum that the characters are trying to get through, and they sit around for far, far too long.
Sometimes entire sessions.
Yeah, who was it that was telling me about the ravine and trying to get over a log or something?
I don't.
Oh, that was...
Is that in the last
I think that was in the last session, yeah, because that's...
Who was here?
It was Gina
You and me and Gina.
and the Storker
I don't think it
and
was,
you.
I don't think it was any
I don't remember that, but I don't know.
I think it was a side conversation.
No, it was Gina.
Was it Gina?
Yes.
Oh, that's... Yeah, okay.
Yes. Gina was telling a story about
And
a
it's
game
just, it was
she
like
played
took
in.
like an hour for them to figure out how to the right way.
It was a letter that was written in that she
It was a
read.
letter. Okay,
That's right.
Ah, see, my brain works.
That's wave off.
Yeah.
That's dumb. You're not going to tell a good story when 25% of your game time is spent trying to get over a log.
Nope, you didn't get over the log. You fell off into the water. Roll a d20 again. Okay, a 14. So you climb out and you get back on the
Okay,
log. Now
all
let's
right.
go ahead and
Let's
we'll roll another check.
Let's
to see
make
if we
this
go
more
over.
poignant. I'm going to name the douchiest thing that I remember happening to me as a player. Actually, I'm going to name the one that I did as a douchey GM, which is a 14-year-old boy. We're playing a superhero game. We had various power levels. I was going to give the guy who is a street level hero a way in to get rid of the giant transformer robot. It was a door on the side. He could have gone in and just wreaked havoc with his sword, and he kept rolling to miss and couldn't perceive it and whatever. And I didn't just tell him. And he was pissed off. He was pissed off at me. The game was frustrating. And in hindsight, it absolutely was, and he was right. And I actively had made him frustrated. And now, in hindsight, I realize exactly what I did wrong. I should have said, "You see a door."
There's a door there. Now maybe make a roll to pick the lock to the door or figure out some way to get inside
Right.
of it.
So back in junior high school, when I was running Red Box D&D, you know, traps that the players had to figure out were kind of the in vogue thing.
Oh, yeah.
So there were whole
Yeah,
books
yeah.
of them.
Grimtooth's trap.
Grimtooth trap,
Yes.
right? So I developed one. It was right inside of the room. Okay, door. You open up. It opens up into a square room. Oh, there's all kinds of treasure. Right. Right on the inside of the door is a pit trap. You get one chance to detect it. If you don't, you hit the pit. You fall in. At the bottom, there's a pressure release, which you land on, which opens up right on the on each side of the trap. There are two ramps that go up to a little room which had, you ready for this?
Tigers.
No, glass globes of green slime. So you hit the
That's a
pressure
lot of
trap.
G's.
You hit the pressure trap. It opens the door. The green slime rolls down. The glass breaks, and it drops green slime all over your character. It was an instant
Ew.
death. There was no way out.
Ew.
I lost players over that one.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
bet. I'll bet.
Yeah. And I thought that was a rad trap.
It is a rad trap.
I thought I won.
It was a rad trap. You just didn't give them a chance to find it.
Nope. Nope. Roll a d20. What for? Just roll a d20.
Just roll a d20. You're dead.
Oh, yeah.
You're dead.
The floor opens up beneath you. You fall about 15 feet down. Roll 2d6. Okay, that's how much damage you take. You hear something rolling, and then you hear a crash of glass above you, and you look up, and 2 glass globes full of green slime have crashed, and it
to
falls
this
down.
day,
upon you.
it's burned in your memory. You are reciting verbatim what you said, and at the time you were so happy, gleeful.
I was excited.
And your players up and left and never talked to you again.
No, they talked to me again. They had to, because they had to say, dude, we're not going to let you run anymore. That was stupid. That was dumb, man. You killed my character. I think I wound up turning it into a dream sequence.
Okay.
And letting the character
Retconning
go,
it, right?
I retconned it as a dream sequence.
Dick move.
And, yeah.
Dick move. What about you? Confessione time. You've always been good, though. You've never made a mistake.
I'm trying to think if I've done something like that, though.
Something truly
To
douchey.
frustrate your players? Well,
No, not really. I mean, my Achilles heel was always being too detailed about travel time. Because you cannot have a meaningful campaign.
Unless accurate time
you
records
stop,
are
you got to
kept.
hobble the horses. You gotta,
Exactly.
right?
Every day, and then...
What are you making? Well, you don't have any rabbit.
Right,
You
and they're on
somebody
like
hunting.
a 2 or 3 week...
So you didn't find out the magic of... So time passes until many years later?
No.
Yeah, but that doesn't... I mean, stuff can happen. I mean, you could miss with that rabbit shot and stumble into the ruins, you know?
Sure, but...
Oh, I had nothing planned.
Oh.
No, I had
never
nothing
mind.
planned. I was just making them go day by day through 2 weeks of
The
travel.
next thing that happens is in 2 weeks, so now we're going to role play those 2 weeks out.
That's when Brian, who always sat to my right, would go,
You're doing it again.
no, and I'd go, what? What are you doing? I'm looking for the fucking fast forward button.
How about you, Emily? You've been frustrated as a player?
Aside from that game, the only time I've really been frustrated was with another player.
What do you do?
So we were playing a Star Wars game, and I was a bounty hunter. He was a Jedi. That one was that was the game that was full of great names. We had Duke, Land Runner, Barbie Fett,
Barbie Fett.
Han Duo, and Chewbacca were the 4 characters in this game, and Duke
Was it the
Land.
one with the goofy dice? The Star
Yeah,
Wars-
there's
okay.
well, maybe not the goofy dice, but there was like the space one required so many D10s for like space combat. I don't know which version. There's so many Star Wars versions. I don't remember which one it was.
D6 was the West End Games one.
Right.
It just
What
required so many
D10
D10s for space travel. Anyway, we were getting we were
just become my focus for a minute.
we were getting some artifact from some ruins or something that a Sith was also trying to get. And when we were coming back, the Jedi sent out a message to the planet that we were going to, saying that it was a Sith artifact, despite the fact that the GM told him twice that it was not.
Was there drinking at this game?
No.
She has to say that because they were all underage at the time.
Oh,
Dude,
right?
that, I was going to
Well,
say,
no, I was about
that's her
15.
dad sitting right
Some
there.
of them,
You know that.
Okay.
No, mostly, I think all of the other players were old enough to drink, but we were in like a gaming shop.
Oh, okay.
She's being vague in order to protect the innocent. I know exactly who was GMing this and where they were, and we know them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Dun,
Sounds
dun,
like D10s,
dun.
maybe Wild Talents? Was it Wild?
Maybe.
No, it
There's
was an
also-
actual.
Yeah, it was an actual Star Wars.
I wonder if they were using Traveler.
I think it, no,
Not
it
D10.
No,
wasn't.
that's D6.
It, I think it was a D6 game, but space travel might involve D10s.
Yeah, it was just the space travel.
Because when
with
you
so
combat,
many
it was
D10s.
D6s, right?
Yeah, so, combat was regular. I don't remember what the regular combat was because I just used my sniper gun like a couple
Like
of
you
times.
do.
That's all I did, and I was just like doing what people were telling me. It really got complicated during space combat because I was using an unfamiliar weapon. He was like, "Yeah, you have to roll a d10 for that and a d10 for that and 4 d10s for this," and I was like, "I don't know what's going on."
Chat room doesn't know either.
I don't.
You'll have to email him and ask him.
West End Games Star Wars?
I think that's
D6s, isn't
I
it?
thought that was D6's. I only owned West End Games Star Wars. I never played it. I just flipped through it to read about all the cool stuff.
Me as well. And I think it was West End Games that she was playing. I'm not sure. And perhaps the space travel is either a hybrid or something that they came up with later. Because the one that I have didn't have space travel covered very well.
Yeah,
it just says you just go someplace.
Because West End Games later released their
Well-
core system as a standalone product, and it was
Yes.
called the D6 system.
Right.
So
Right.
Yeah, space travel was just you go somewhere. It was space combat that was
Space Combat,
complicated.
that's interesting. I'm gonna have
Don't
to.
know.
I might have to look that up now. It's not as if we don't have the sum of all human knowledge at our fingertips.
We do. The
I
Oracle
just
is
looked.
right
It's
here.
definitely D6s, or West End Games is. I can't find
West
it. Not with a quick
Games.
one. So I would say to Taylor on, you might consider backing down if your players are getting frustrated.
And-
Turn the frustration notch, the dead end notch down a little bit, maybe.
I think it depends on Stork's point, which is it's okay for the players to have frustration if their character's having frustration, as long as when they get up and walk away from the table, that frustration is left at the table.
And the key to that is that it's within the story. They
Yeah,
find things to frustrate themselves within the story. They're pissed
Yeah.
off at another character's actions. They're not pissed off at the player.
There's some kinds of frustration you want them to have. Like if you've got a
Yes.
recurring villain or something like
Yes.
that, the more times that villain escapes, just barely gets away, and we're gonna get him next time. It's so much sweeter when they do finally catch him. But you do have to let them eventually catch him.
Right, and
Yes,
it
but
still
that's-
hinges on the story.
And that's
Or
exceeding,
they have to earn that, I should say.
and that's exceedingly different than someone getting up to the table and going, God, that fucking Stork, I fucking hate that. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
That's a different type of frustration altogether.
Absolutely.
Not that I've ever
That's a
done that.
different
I
type of
promise.
frustration.
Right.
Oh,
All right. Thank you,
I
Taylor,
missed it.
for the email.
Yeah, thank you. That's actually a good topic. I wish I had a better answer for you.
Now, normally we talk about what we played this week, but what are you playing up there at college?
So, I am currently doing a game, well, supposedly currently doing a game online because no one that I know actually knows how to DM. I haven't played
you
enough.
need to listen to the podcast.
Yes, that's
I
what
keep
we do
telling
for.
everyone to listen to the podcast.
It's not really a
every
podcast anymore.
Every time someone's like, "Hey, I'm so into RPG games," I was like, "Oh, hey, yeah, you know, Happy Jack's RPG. You should listen to that." And a couple of times I've actually gone, people go, "What, Happy Jack's RPG?" And I'm like, "Wait, what?" I haven't prepared myself for this response yet. Hold on.
See, you get to say, yeah, my dad's on that. What?
Yeah, but that's not
What?
cool. That's like a... Oh.
Okay.
Is he the old guy?
It was cool once.
Is he the old guy who says all the dumb stuff?
Dumb stuff, doesn't know what he's talking about.
Okay, I'm going to bet, and I'm not going to ask you your age because that's rude, but I'm going to bet that you have gotten past the point where dad is no longer cool, and you've come around to the point where you're like, you know what? My dad's kind of a cool dude.
You want your card payments, or I'm still cool, right?
I have never gone through the phase where teenagers hate their parents.
You are a lucky man.
Paying your car next month. Anyway, finish your story about...
Yeah, so remember that, Mike? It's yours now.
Well, I'm frustrated at you, Tim.
We'll talk about this after Stork.
So we're playing a game of 5e right now, and it's just not happening because our DM is in a completely different city from most of our players, and one of our players is in a completely different city from both of those people, and it's just not happening right now. And I feel like that, I think, is the biggest problem right now, is the fact that everyone wants to get started on getting involved at D&D, and no one actually knows how, because there aren't enough people who are already skilled at it to help everyone else.
Have you told her to tell people about JackerCon? Tell your friends. several times a year.
3 or 4.
First time
Three or
hearing about this,
four.
actually. So
3 or 4 times a year, the Happy Jacks fans get together and have JackerCon.
Okay.
And what it is it's a virtual online
Oh.
game convention. It's all online. It's all done through. It used to be Google Hangouts and Google Plus, but now there's an actual central website for it.
Yeah.
Cool.
So
JackerCon.com.
JackerCon.com. Yeah.
It's a gaming con that happens online from all over the world. We have
And
people from Australia,
it runs for like
England.
2-3 weeks sometimes.
Yeah.
2 weeks usually.
2 weeks.
So, if your friends want to learn how to DM, how to GM, how to whatever you want to call it, based on the game system you're playing, have them check out JackerCon, play in a couple of games, see how we've got some really, really, really talented GMs amongst our fan base. So yeah, have them check that out.
And it's also...
And it's 89 days from now.
It's also
Did someone just...
Because it just
JackerCon
finished.
14, yep.
It's also showing how to do an online game and do it right. Because they've got that system down. They've got the windows. They've got. I mean, it's really, really good. It's some of them use Roll20, some of them just use Google Hangouts. But it's
when I ran my game, it
it's-
was just Google Hangouts. Yeah.
and it works really well. It's a smooth running machine. Props to.
I don't even think it's
Just
DC
went up on
Ice
his name
anymore.
Yeah. He's still.
I mean, he's still involved, but
he's still hosted.
No, he's got a new. He's busy.
Yeah, someone else does the website.
someone else
now.
did-
I
yeah.
don't remember
Oh,
who
okay.
it
Yeah,
is.
someone else developed the website. And they actually
Yeah.
they did a really nice job.
Yeah, it's a very
So anyway,
nice website.
yeah, there we go.
And have them listen to the show.
Absolutely.
Now, do you have the D&D beginners box for 5th edition?
I gave it to her, and
I
I put
left
the
it
other
in
books in it,
Oregon.
and she left it
Okay.
all in Oregon.
Well, that actually is there's two things I would look at to learn how to GM, because if no one else will take up the mantle, you should.
There.
You have a built-in support network.
So I have thought of that several times of being like, fine, I'll just run it. Except that one of our friends was like, yeah, no, I've got this whole game planned out. I will GM for you guys, and then
they flake.
not necessarily that. It's just then finals week comes up, and they're like, yeah, we'll do it next week. And then it's the break. And he goes, yeah, we'll do it next week.
And then
we're
midterms.
starting classes
Right.
again. And then he goes, yeah, we'll do it next week.
Okay.
And then no one else remembers. and
Next
it's,
person needs to step up.
Yeah.
And the other thing is,
so-
there's no reason that you have to only play one game.
Right. And the other thing
There is a reason to study for finals, though.
Yes.
Tim.
Yes, you should always study for finals.
But that's what
Play
the day before
shitloads
finals
of
is
game.
for.
You're in college, right? That's what cramming is for. You game.
I mean,
up until like 2 days before finals, and you go, okay, 2 days. The most dramatically appropriate number of days before your finals.
yes.
And then you just cram the fuck out of everything so you can pass your test and get back to gaming. That's what college.
When I was
should
in
be about.
when I was in college, we gamed in someone's community room in their dorm.
Oh,
in
yeah.
the dorms.
No, that's mostly where they happen, yeah.
Right.
At my school, we have like side rooms that are soundproof in like the lobby. Like you can just go into like the media room or something.
It's supposed to be for studying. Probably.
Yeah, it's for studying. There's also like a media room in there
or
something.
primal
so,
screaming.
I was going to say.
And so very often people will set up games in there, and then we also have a couple of the other dorms have like communal rooms. It's like 2 rooms where people are actually sleeping, and 2 rooms people are actually sleeping, and then the big room in the middle, and people will set up games there as long as it's a smaller one of like a couple of people, because if you get 6 people playing, it doesn't fit in there. It's a dorm room.
Right.
So how big is the gaming community up at your school?
Well,
First of all, it's not a very big school.
and I'm friends with all the nerds, so
Well played.
Whenever I start up a conversation with it, it's one of 2 responses. Where first of all, if you say, "Oh yeah, it's an RPG game," people go, "What? You mean like Call of Duty?" And I have to like sit there and like prepare myself for what I'm going to say next,
Right.
because no. And then the response is, "No, like D&D," and people are like, "Oh my god, I've wanted to get into D&D for so long," or "Oh." That, and you see the light fade from their eyes, and they like try to find a way out of the conversation.
That's why I say I play poker at work. What are you doing tonight? Oh, it's game night. We're going to go play poker. And, drink whiskey and smoke cigars. Because that's...
I was at a gathering the other day, and
Yeah.
I basically said, "Yeah, we're role playing game," and I could just see a bunch of people just
Yeah.
fade, and they were like, they wanted to find a locker to shove me in.
So it's about 50% both of those things.
But I'm sure there are people there who are.
Yeah.
Or there's games going on.
Yeah, no, there's games going on all over the place. But for the most part, it is. I know about 3 people just in my friend group that actually know how to DM, and then that means that there's only 3 games going on.
It's not that hard.
Right.
When you say that anybody can
not that
DM, it's not like you have a certain skill set.
But
You don't even have to memorize the book, because you know what? We've got this at our fingertips.
But most people have only played 1 game max in their lives
Yeah,
and haven't even reached its completion.
That I played 1 session and then I started GMing.
Yeah, so and that daunts a lot of people.
It shouldn't. All you have to do is, I didn't even know the rules, but I would suggest you learn the rules.
Yeah, one of my other friends did that. And
at
it was
least
a
the
great
grapple rules.
campaign.
Well, the nice thing about the D&D starter set is it has a small book that
Yeah.
gives you the basic rules of the game and pre-generated characters.
Yeah.
You can
I always forget
always
that pamphlet is in the back of the box.
yes.
Yeah.
It's at the very bottom, underneath the
In
illegitimate
fact,
books.
I don't know if do you have any of the starter sets for the Star Wars games?
No.
Okay, those also have a
Yes, I have 2 of them. I didn't give them to her.
Oi.
I didn't
I
actively
might
show an
even have
interest in it, so he
a bunch-
forgot
I
about
bought
it.
all 4 of them.
Yeah, I have the Force one. I just found it the other day.
Right, but those come with characters, and not only do they come with characters, it comes with the adventure, and it introduces the rules you need to know to resolve stuff as it happens
As it
in the
happens,
adventure.
yeah.
So all you have to do is read that pamphlet. Even you don't even have to read the rule books. You just open the pamphlet up, and it says, "Okay, you get to this place. This is a skill challenge. Here's how skill challenges work."
Yep.
Here's what dice they need to use, and then you have all the, and it walks you through GMing.
So you're saying even though the system is different, those pamphlets are basically an outline on how to GM?
Well, yeah, and they introduce. It's a very structured scenario, but it introduces the rules as you need them, rather than taking one of those, because those are my Star Wars books up there.
Right.
They're
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah.
Instead of going through one of those things and reading through the whole thing, which is what I did, you can just go through that pamphlet and okay, there's a fight. They have to fight this guy, and it's not a hard fight. Here's how combat works. Here's how you decide who's going to go first, and it tells you all that stuff, how to resolve the hits, how to resolve the damage, and then go on to the next thing. And I mean, they're real railroady adventures, but it teaches you the rules as you're doing it. And after going through something like that, you're going to realize it's not that hard.
What I liked about the
I
5e rules is that it's not a module. And the problem with the module is that you slavishly, especially if you're first timing it, you were just slavish to the dialogue. You're slave to the actual...
The box
And
text.
I actually watched... we were coasting some group, and I saw some guy reading, all right, if you have an intelligence of +1, then you can now find what... I mean, he was literally reading off the page, and I'm like...
Box text. Do not read this to your players.
Yeah,
if
no.
you have oh shit.
That's what they were doing, and it was and as much as modules were a great crutch or a great tool to getting you started, they were also taught you bad habits, which is it was so railroady. There was all this stuff, and you had to you thought, well, for every room that I do, and I now have to come up with a paragraph of dialogue.
That's how a lot of us learn to GM, though.
Well, it was.
What I
It's
keep
true.
what I keep telling everyone is that I would love to start GMing, but I'm more of a hands-on learner. So if I can find someone who will GM a game and I can GM with them and kind of like we can co-GM a game,
right.
that would be my in, and I could GM from then on. But I need to actually find someone who's prepared enough to actually be able to do that, because most people don't know the rules of the game enough, and that's probably where I'm slacking off there, is I don't know all the rules of the game. I just barely have enough of a handle on it for when my friends are going, wait, what did he just say? I can go, he wants you to do this thing. Oh!
Do you have one of your friends who knows the rules really well?
Not in Oregon.
Not in Oregon, okay. First time I ran Pathfinder, it was for the Shit Zombies group.
Right.
And they kind of talked me into running Pathfinder. I had no interest in it. It was too much, too big of a... Pathfinder's a book this big. But luckily, Tyler, another one of our friends, was in the group. And Tyler is a walking encyclopedia of all things game rules.
Yeah, he's got reading retention like I've never seen.
Yeah, he's like Rain Man of RPG rules.
He is.
He really is. So
Even page numbers.
He even rocks
Yeah.
back and forth.
he does, which is strange.
Definitely
Yeah,
293.
only on
Definitely
Friday.
293.
Definitely roll a
comes up
d20.
+2, and
De-
you
definitely
Get a
roll a
drink?
d20.
Oh, there's a drink. Someone redeemed a drink.
drink. It has a-
of the hill people.
But my point is, I knew how to run D&D because I've been running it all my life. But all of the specific Pathfinder stuff, if something came up, I'd be like, Yeah, let me check the rules. Hey, Tyler, what do we do? All right, go ahead and roll a d20, add your base attack bonus, blah, 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 because I had Mr. Encyclopedia right there. So, that can help as well. You don't actually need to know all the rules as long as someone there does.
And I love co-GMing. I said that, that's one of the reasons I had C.A. Dave when we first started the Freak Show. I needed a sounding board. I wasn't that familiar with the Savage World rules, and he'd already played and GM'd a couple, and I'm like, can you keep me honest? Actually, it was Traveler is where we first started. Can you keep me honest? I know you know Traveler, and then it just snowballed from there. But especially with con games, I love the immediacy and how quickly things move with two GMs handling everything.
Yeah.
It's also just nice to know that somebody can be looking up a rule while you keep the action going.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It really does help.
Yeah.
And then you're right.
But if you
do
can't
learn.
find, I'm sorry, if you can't find one GM, where are you going to find two?
True.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
That's the thing. I mean, and the other thing is, you could get the players together and say, okay, read the character generation section, and say, okay, we're just going to make characters. Everyone make characters. And then just run them through some combats.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Have them fight each other. Or have them fight a monster. Don't even start GMing yet, but just familiarizing yourself with the combat rules, and because the skill resolution rules are easy.
Yeah.
But the combat, that gets fiddly.
Yeah.
Like, run a couple combats just so everyone kind of gets familiar with it, and then the next session have something small.
And last week we had a letter about learning GMing with your players, and that's how we did it. A new game would come out, RuneQuest, let's say, gets dropped, right? Somebody goes to the game store, dude, I got RuneQuest. All right, okay, I'm opening it up and we're going to play it. And we're like, okay. And then we'd spend a day making characters, which was a long day. All right, what do we do? There's percentile dice? Okay, I'm not sure I like this. And then the next day, or even later on that day, because we would game for 12 hours at a time, we would start something. And we were learning as they were learning. They were like, oh, wait. And then, of course, 3 weeks on down, there was a retcon. Oh, wow, I shouldn't have given you all the gold ever. But, okay, well, yeah.
Every game session started with, so we did this wrong.
We did this wrong.
We did totally wrong.
I was at home reading the book.
Here's how we're going to do it going forward.
But that's how you learn, and then there's nothing wrong with that. As long as everybody knows and they're in on it. They're like, hey, guys, first time GM, going to do some stuff wrong. We'll work on this together. And here we go.
Yeah, that's what happened to a game that I did a while ago with a new GM. I was playing a cleric because they needed a healer in the party, and he had no clue what was going on with my cantrips or whatever. He had no clue what was going on with my cantrips. I was like, hey, so this is a thing that I can do. And he was like, I'm sorry, what does that say? Spare they just don't die? What? Yeah, it says it's a cantrip and I can do it whenever.
Yeah.
And he was just he was so baffled, and I'm like, it's right here, I don't know what to tell you. And then later on he was like, oh, so you actually did read it directly from the book, and that's actually what it meant. And I was completely, okay, we're not letting you do that again.
All right. The mic issue,
Sorry about that. It's Stu wired this mic. It's left-handed.
Yeah, when I put the thing on it, it's made it left-handed.
I think they all are.
That's right-handed. You take that on and off with your right hand.
Well,
all right.
no.
I'm going to read this next email while you guys are discussing this.
Are we done?
Yes.
Are we done?
Role-playing Outside the Fantastic from Andreas in Sweden.
Yeah.
I, Stu, and the crew. Yeah, Andreas from Sweden here. Yeah, Land of Monkey Poop. Because we remember the whole...
I think I still have a little bit left. I don't know where I put it.
Emily, you want to try some salty licorice?
No.
Because you hate licorice. It's awesome.
And it's
Wait, if she hates licorice, why would she want salty licorice?
It's the best stuff ever.
It's got salt on it. It makes the licorice less licoricey. Do you like licorice?
I love
Okay.
licorice.
You might like it. You have to find some.
I'm a little scared of anything that's called monkey poop.
Actually, it's not.
It's not. It just looks. We thought it would be called.
It's not really monkey poop. It just looks like it. So eat some.
Sure.
We had a care
I
package.
totally trust all of you.
We had a care package arrive from Scandinavia, and they basically included some local Scandinavian things, and this is the candy he's going to go find for you.
That's where they are barcoding their naval vessels.
Right.
Scandinavian.
See, when you say barcode, I think of a different thing, and especially in Scandinavia, when they go to a barcode, it's a whole different bar.
Yeah, no, I meant like a 3 of 9 barcode,
3 of 9?
That's one of the barcodes.
She was the sexiest Borg ever. Love 3 of 9.
That was not 3 of 9. That was
7 of 9.
7 of 9, yes. had
3 of 9 was her sister.
I was
Anyway.
almost like that. That was one of 7. No, that was 9er of.
I've been
42.
thinking a bit on how you used to talk about what kind of games you were running in the next con and what idea you were working on. That bounced around in my noggin and happened to cross paths with another thought I had. First of all, I love that turn of phrase. I once had on how every new Savage World setting comes across as X plus magic or Y plus superpowers. Yeah, I know that's a simplification. How do you come up with a new interesting game anyway? Just add water, or I guess you should just add magic.
I don't think she likes it.
Once the salt goes away, it's awesome.
There we go. Yeah.
The reason I thought, and it's not normal salt. It's like a it's like a
sea salt or
chlorine.
something?
You know, it's like a chlorinated salt. It's like it's like the stuff.
It's bleach.
It's like it is. It's like the stuff they clean pools with. Yeah, it's an industrial salt. The reason I thought about this is how I remember we used to game in my old game club. We had an Old West game that ran annually with the first edition Boot Hill rules, wonky as they were. There were no zombies or magic in sight. We also played a game of pirates. There were no curses or magic doubloons, just pirates. We also played games in 1600 France with musketeers, no magic. By the way, I just rewatched the Three Musketeers, Four Musketeers with Michael York and Oliver Reed.
So an older one.
Great movie. It's still, I mean, it actually holds up better now because you watch that and go like, this is classic, great old filmmaking where the actual sword fights were real. They weren't over the top. They're using the scenery. There's a whole scene where he's like fighting like amongst the dirty laundry, and they're using the laundry as part of the fight. I mean, it's great. Go watch that. Three or Four Musketeers. Michael York. I believe it's Richard Fleischer directed it. Anyway, so I guess I wanted to toss out the idea of gaming in historical settings without magic. Have any of you lads and lasses in Happy Jack's land done that? Experiences to share. Do we need magic to have fun? What can be done without it? I love Western movies and love Western RPGs and have, for example, never understood the point of magic and zombies in Deadlands. What say you? Drink. Do you have to have magic to have fun?
I do. Well, okay.
Do you have to be drunk to have fun?
No. Not necessarily magic, but something fantastical.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Because when I play a role-playing game, I want it to be different than the history that I studied in school for so long or the reality that I live on an everyday basis. I don't want to be Tim in funny clothes in a different time period.
That's called the Renaissance Fair.
That's called the Renaissance Fair, and I can do that. Do they still have a whole bunch of small fairs running?
You bet.
Oh, yeah.
I can do that almost like half the weekends out of the year. I can do that.
Yeah, you can.
I did that for a long time. It doesn't interest me anymore. So I want something fantastical. I want to be able to do something awesome. So it doesn't have to be magic, but like the idea where orcs pop out of the ground in a historical setting, even if it didn't have magic, that would be something I would want to play in because it's a riff on our history, but it's got something fantastical. It's got something different, and that's I need that. I want that myself.
I'm going to agree with you to a point, but I find a flaw in your argument there. I mean, are you going to tell me that Clint Eastwood Man with No Name movies are not fantastic and take you out of it, and there's no magic whatsoever?
They are fantastic, but I don't want to RP that. I want to watch that on a movie screen because it's an awesome movie. But I don't want to play The Man with No Name.
Okay. How about The Magnificent Seven?
We got another drink.
Oh, we got another drink.
Of the Hill People again.
Emily, would you grab me one of these?
And one of these.
And he needs a Michelob Ultra.
And the flavored waters are pretty good if you're looking for something to drink.
I think they're out of them.
Oh, we're out of them? Oh, well. Well, my point being that even the Magnificent Seven and such, which there's no freaking magic at all, they're just, guys with guns or seven samurai, are a lot of fun to play.
Thank you.
If you have...
Thank you.
I'm not going to say if you have a GM, but if you have invested players, you can make mundane things fun and interesting. Defending a village with a bunch of guns is infinitely interesting. You don't need to have effing magic.
I'm sure...
Maybe artillery.
I'm sure many people agree with you. And I'm sure that works for many people. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that if Stu was like, hey, I'm going to run a totally straight up Western game, I'd be like, oh, forget it, I'm out. Because I enjoy role-playing.
Mm-hmm.
But my preference would be if he said, hey, I'm going to run a totally standard Western setting, except the Native Americans are demon worshippers and they've all summoned demons. That sounds more interesting to me. And that's the part that. But again, I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm saying a lot of people really like that. That's just, for me, that's not my thing.
I know I'm not wrong. It's like even Legend of the Five Rings. Like when we first did it with Stu, very little magic creeped in for the first.
That's because I refused to read the rules on magic.
7 settings or so.
But okay,
and it was still, we were invested and we were in.
Right. There was very little magic in it, but there was still the taint,
and there were still zombies.
And there were still zombies.
Yeah, but not immediately.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. Yeah, the zombies came later. Yeah.
We were so caught up in sword fighting and the courtier thing and just figuring out the world.
Yeah.
The magic wasn't even, it didn't even enter into it until, like, I don't know, halfway, 3/4 of the way through the game. So I think you can still have interesting games without magic. I truly do.
Yeah, I don't think I'm arguing that point.
It depends on where you want to parse magic too, because I was going to say superhero games have no magic, and yet superheroes are kind of magic.
Mm-hmm.
Kinda. Mm-hmm. They're not. Unless Doctor Strange is actually a magician.
Andreas says role-playing outside the fantastic, which would include superheroes, I do believe.
And she is saying that she wants to do, like, Three Musketeers, Western... Sorry, he?
Yeah.
They saying that they want to do, like, Three Musketeers, Westerns, like, pirates, stuff that, there is a big adventure element to it, but it's not fantastical.
Right.
I absolutely agree with that. I was just, like I said, I was just watching 3 or 4 Musketeers, and they had to race across the country to get some gems and race them back in time before Richelieu caught on to their plot. Right? There was no magic. It was all trying to escape the nefarious plots and hijinks and shenanigans.
We ran a, I don't even remember who ran this game. It was in GURPS. The Pirates book had just come out. Or GURPS Swashbuckler.
GURPS Swashbuckler, yes.
And so I know I didn't run it because I had a character in it whose last name, he was a French, he was the captain of the ship, but with pirates, the captain isn't the guy who's in charge necessarily. He's in charge.
Captain.
The captain was in charge during certain times.
Yeah, but isn't the bosun? Isn't he is the bosun that's actually running the ship and everything?
It wasn't the bosun. It's another quartermaster. Maybe.
First mate?
Something like that.
No.
Steward?
One person's in charge of the ship specifically during combat, and another person is in charge of the ship the rest of the time.
It's like the boatswain or something.
That's a bosun.
Yeah, that's the.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, there was no. Now it only ran 3, 4 sessions, 5 sessions, or something like that.
Because there was nothing fantastic in it.
No, it was fun. It was a lot of fun, and there's a lot of the stuff you're talking about, swinging from the rope, from the rigging, and all of that kind of stuff. It was a blast. It was a lot of fun.
I think that it is. You're definitely able to do games like that, and they will be a lot of fun. However, there is a bit of preference there. For example, personally, I don't like westerns. I'm not all that fond of them. So if you were going to say, "Hey, Emily, let's do an RPG game," that's a western, I'd be like, "No."
You don't want to dress in a corset and work behind a bar? Really? Wow, because that's what women did in the West. It was rough. Ouch.
Or they were school teachers.
Right?
School marms.
School marms, yes.
It's kind of full of historical things that make you go, or just things that make you go, oh, ew.
People could say, "Hey, you want to do a western?" And I go, "No." When anyone asks me, like, movies, like, "Hey, you want to watch this movie?" I'm like, "Does it have explosions in it?" "Well, no." "Does it have dragons in it?" "No." "Then why would I want to watch it?"
Would you want to play in a western game that had zombies, that had people who learned that Hoyle's book of cards was actually a magic spell book and it taught them how to cast spells, and there was all kinds of supernatural elements? Would that be more appealing to you?
It's a weird line to walk, honestly. I think that I am just more appealed when someone says, hey, come play this game with me. There's going to be a dragon in it. I go, dragons? Yes!
And we all know what happened when cowboys met aliens.
Yeah, that's true.
No.
It was a bad one. No, I actually enjoyed the movie. One of my favorite things to do. Wow, that was piercing. One of my favorite things to do with any game I'm going to run is, as he says in this email, add and whatever. But mine is and Lovecraft. So I've run a lot of like modern day games, specifically in GURPS or Call of Cthulhu, where it's like, well, you're all cops. And then you find out about a deadly cult, right? Yeah. And so even when I do play the standard normal genres, I've still got that element of, oh yeah, and there's a demon worshipping cult or a cult that worships, elder gods from beyond space and time that are looking to destroy the earth. And so there's always that
total confession, summoning an elder god is a default of mine for most adventures.
It just works, doesn't it?
Every time.
God, it's so good.
Well, the whole thing is that's just because that's the preference among you guys. I mean, it seems like Andreas is very fond of these kinds of things and is very enthralled with these kinds of games. And I think that it would be absolutely fine as long as you can find things to do that don't involve fantastic elements like that.
And there's tons of that stuff.
Yeah,
There is.
there's tons.
There is.
That's not hard.
It's just not within our preference
Right.
to do things like that, which means that we just wouldn't. As long as your group is absolutely enthralled by that stuff, go ahead, go for it.
Well, and I guess here's the trick. Why don't you try running a game without any magic at all and see how long it takes your players to notice? Because I think you could do it. I mean, you did it with L5R, and we were so enamored with the situation, we were so enamored with the day-to-day stuff
It was
that
all
we never even noticed.
it was all other people. The only bad guys were rivals, basically. Right.
And I think you can do that. And if they start to complain, it's like, there's no magic. I don't think your players are going to complain. It's about you crafting this world. If you need to, it's always back there. You could say, you could run a Western, and you could say, all right, there is an actual Native American shaman who's summoning coyote, if that needs to happen. But let's see how long that we can go before I introduce that. And I think you'd be surprised at how your players are going to respond and how interesting it will be for you. Maybe magic's a crutch. And it is one of these things which is like, and stuff happens, you know why? It's effing magic, and Deus Machina.
The thing is, a compelling story is a compelling story.
True. That is
It doesn't
true.
matter
Yes.
what elements are in it.
Yes, that is true.
Well said.
That is true. That's 100% true.
And magic is a Deus Machina. Stuff just happened because, you know why? It's fucking magic. That's why. So that's what happened. Bam.
Well, I mean, and it depends on the magic system, but in a lot of games, it's just a replacement for guns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or artillery.
Yeah. Some size of gun.
But or it's a plot hook, like you say. They're summoning elder gods. There's a cult, or they've created something and it got out of control. Or it could be a substitute for science as well. Or you could substitute science for magic.
Yeah.
Try that instead of zombies. Maybe it's.
I don't think I could do that.
All of the magic that I've seen in games that I've played so far could be replaced with a flamethrower, a grenade launcher, or, well, I mean, it's really hard to get around the summoning a demon thing.
Yeah,
but
right.
Another drink from Of the Hill People.
Man, Hill People. I already took a drink.
That's his hat trick.
So you remember the old, it used to be said on this podcast a lot, when you've run out of things to do, just have someone run in with a gun.
Yeah.
Mine was always have a cultist run in with a knife.
He's got a knife.
He's got a wickedly curved barbed dagger.
And he's wearing
a black robe.
But I mean,
He's not afraid to sacrifice a virgin. He's going to do it.
He's going to do it.
when I ran the protection game, the conspiratorium game, the Moment of Truth, no magic in that.
No. And we're riveted.
There's some kind of crazy technology in it.
Spoilers, hello. All I know is I found a room full of blood. I have no idea what was in it.
But I'm talking about the stuff in the beginning, the mind control stuff.
Oh, all right.
But I mean, that's all stuff that a crackpot like me believes in.
But he's really not talking about magic per se. I think
No, he's talking about
fantastic elements.
Yes.
science fiction, like amazing technology and science fiction would be included in that.
Your setting, I forget what it's called, the big blue monkeys from outer space setting. That's a fantastical setting.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a lot of fantastical elements.
And
in
that's
that.
totally pulp.
But it's not magic.
That's pulp
No.
sci-fi. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like when you're flying through space
On
a boat.
On a sailboat.
And then I love Bruce. Bruce is like, who's the scientist? So when you fall off the boat, where do you go?
You go down.
You go down.
Just like you do on Earth.
But there's what about up? Is there a?
You
Then
jump.
he starts asking about, when you land, how do you get? He's like, well, we don't really deal with that.
And you can see his brain go.
little vein.
He's all
The physics of it just.
He couldn't get past that. So I remember there were combat going
all
on.
those
He goes,
eggheads in the university were wrong.
right. And then there was combat, and he's like, so down is still down in space. Like, we're in combat, Bruce. Anyway, I think Stu nailed it on the head, which is if you tell a well-told tale, you don't need that fantastic element. And I
Yes.
think you could always have it there if you needed to tell your tale. But I think there's many a well-told tale. There's many again. I'm going to bring up the 3 or 4 Musketeers again. The original. Do not do the Charlie Sheen one with Kiefer Sutherland. Awful. I'm talking about the Michael York stuff from the 70s. Check that out and watch the way that they crafted that tale out. And nothing fantastical happens. Yes, they're exceptional athletes. Yes, they're exceptional swordsmen. But that's what made them great.
The Disney Three Musketeers?
No, that's awful.
I love
Screw
that
that one. Go back and look at the other one, the original.
One more point, and this is just when we were playing 5th edition D&D.
Yeah.
The players went up against their first mage.
Oh, was this the... I am no mere mage. Blech. Was that him?
That's him. Great story. Everyone likes to talk about it. Not one spell was cast.
My understanding is they murderized him.
Yeah, they killed him before he got his turn. He rolled last in the
Which is probably a good
order.
thing because Stu says,
He had Fireball,
yeah, he was going to take him out.
and they were at that time were like 3rd level.
You can take them out and their rhinos.
Yeah, I shouldn't have given them rhinos.
But I do think that it is, as Emily said, a preference thing as well.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
She just prefers games with dragons in them.
Yeah. No, me.
No,
Oh,
Emily.
yeah.
Emily
Me.
prefers...
I prefer games with
Okay, I thought you were
dragons.
talking about-
I prefer games with, cultists and demons and other weird shit.
Oh my.
Well, you can also have cultists and not have a fantastic game.
It's true.
That
Well,
is 100% true.
Cultists only think they're fantastic.
That's
They
true.
may not actually be.
It depends on if
Wouldn't
when...
that be a fantastic adventure? We get a bunch of player characters together who think that there's some cultists that are going to summon some horrible demon, but they're all just a bunch of crackpots, and they go in and they murder them. Oh my god, that would be awesome! And like,
What? We've just wiped out the
wasn't-
Scientology church.
it wasn't real.
There's going to be litigation now, so now it's a
I don't even
litigation
think,
game.
Hold on, I don't even think you can say that on a program like this without opening yourself for litigation. So we were totally not talking about Scientology. We were talking about
Mennonites. They don't watch podcasts.
because they don't have electricity.
You're going to go from Savage Worlds
No,
to
I mean-
lawyers and litigation. It's going to be the different. It's going to be the subsect
Papers,
of Savage
and
Worlds.
paychecks.
We have papers, paychecks.
Up the Hill People says, boo, the Disney Three Musketeers is a treasure, Stork is wrong, hashtag.
Of the Hill People, right on, dude.
Of the Hill People, have you ever watched the original that was stolen from?
It's not stolen,
Go watch
it's a
that.
remake.
No, it's
It's not
a
stolen.
remake.
What do they call it? The Three Cannoneers?
Okay, I see your Disney's Three Musketeers, and I raise you a Barbie's Three Musketeers because
seen that.
I
That
grew
rocks.
up in that era.
You know what?
That rocks. Allie was watching that.
You know what?
about
The
a year ago.
Barbie
That's
movies
awesome.
are actually really good. I remember. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna sit down and watch these things, and I'm riveted with
Except
my
for the
kids.
animation.
They've gotten
Yeah, but
as the animation has gotten better, the stories have gotten worse. But I'm still watching them.
What about Man in the Iron Mask?
terrible.
Oi. Oi, oi, oi.
Ishtar.
You know what? Ishtar is it kind of sits alone in its own little star.
It's a galaxy of its own.
It really is. It was an ambitious movie. These guys are making a road movie. Nobody. You know what? You know what? I realized what it is. It is the equivalent of Big Trouble in Little China.
Yes.
Big Trouble in Little China was a comedy, but the studio didn't tell anybody it was a comedy, so people showed up thinking it was an action adventure. Go, what the hell is this? And I was Kurt Russell years later said, I don't know what the studio was thinking, but I was making a comedy.
I thought
And I think that's the problem with Ishtar. Is like, I don't know what the studio was thinking, but we were doing a comedy roadshow. I don't know what they marketed it as.
I thought Ishtar was the name of the T-Rex monster in Rugrats.
It might have been.
Reptar.
Reptar.
Yeah, you're talking about Reptar.
Running a cyberpunk noir game from Zoom Farg. Who's reading?
You want to take that one?
To the esteemed douchenificent council.
See, they always come up with new interests. I'm constantly amazed.
I've gotten pretty interested in running a cyberpunk game, though I'm not super familiar with the genre. Both noir themes and heist stories seem pretty common in cyberpunk fiction. Do you have any general advice on prepping on those sorts of games? More specifically, do you have any advice for creating noir-type twists? I'm afraid of prepping a twist that A, flops, or B, blindsides the players in an unfun way. I'm not trying to deceive the players after all, I'm just trying to create an intricate mystery. I'm planning on running this game in Fate using a stripped-down version of the Interface 0 setting. Thanks, Zoomfarg on the forums.
You know what? Interface 0 is a really good setting. I own it. It's still Fate.
Tell us how you really feel,
Interface-
Stork. No, don't tell us. We get it.
There's lots of flavors. There's lots and lots of flavors of Fate, just like there is lots and lots of flavors of Apocalypse World. And I think again, it depends on your GMs and such. But Fate is a lot of bookkeeping. The best key I can tell for anybody running Fate, not that you care, was something I saw Mauser do. He had a little brother printer.
Yeah.
And he would print up what the little things were, and that he put those
The
out.
aspects.
Yeah,
Aspects,
the aspects,
yeah.
and he put those
And
out.
little stickers.
And then when they were changing, he'd throw them away and put up a new aspect. And that is a really, really great idea.
Interface Zero is also in Savage Worlds. They did a dual Kickstarter.
That's what I'm thinking of. I have
And
the Interface Zero.
Pathfinder.
And Pathfinder too.
That's what he says.
They did Fate, Savage Worlds, and Pathfinder. They covered pretty much the entire gamut there.
They actually wanted to retire and not have to do real jobs anymore.
Yeah, they went
wanted to make
from
some
the
money.
right to the left.
Yeah.
I'm going to go out on a limb because they didn't retire off of it.
Yeah.
So what's he asking here?
He's asking how to run a cyberpunk game, and also he wants for creating noir-like twists. The thing about noir is not a genre; it's a tone.
It is. It means dark.
So I was actually in a noir class, a noir literature class.
You need to push your glasses
Yeah,
up.
sorry.
You actually said actually.
I was in a noir literary class last term in college, and the key for noir twists, according to my teacher, was right at the moment when you think everything's going to be okay, make it not okay again. That's pretty much it.
Oh, wow.
That's it. Like, it doesn't matter what it is. It's just the moment like you come out of a problem, and the moment you think everything's going to be okay, make it not okay.
Wow.
It can,
That's, yeah.
it can be a last minute, some NPC goes, no, I've had enough with this, and kills the person you're trying to save. Okay.
Right.
Like, yeah, that kind of came out of nowhere, but it's also one of those, like, small, simultaneously large things. Just the moment it's about to be okay, it's not.
See, I was going to spend more time defining what noir is, which is where you were going, because there's film noir, which is sort of like darks and bright lights, and it's a look, it's a genre, it's a feel. There's noir pulp, there's cyber noir. Noir has been overused a lot. The actual word, I think, means new.
It means noir means black.
Black. Okay,
That is
black.
that is the word.
So
I think the direct translation.
So there's depending on what you're aiming for or what it is you mean by noir, there's a lot of different ways to approach the answer to this question. Her answer's pretty much spot on when it comes to doing a really good adventure.
I think I just want to take that phrase right there and integrate it into my GMing, because that's that's awesome GM advice right there. Which is, as soon as everybody thinks everything's okay, make it not okay.
Do you know how exhausting that's going to be for your players if they're not expecting that, though?
That's true. That's true. You should, every once in a while you do have to give them an okay.
If you're buying in,
Right,
we're running a cyberpunk noir game, you know things aren't going to ever turn out great, right?
Well, you don't know that as a character. You assume that everything's going to be fine.
But you as a player, going into it, you know.
Well, see, because if you have a game where as soon as everyone thinks everything okay it's not okay, then you just have the mode of sin.
You can only
Go ahead.
you can only get away with that once.
Right.
Like after the second time you do that, people are like, "Come on,
You got away
where's
with
my
it for like a
happy
year."
ending?"
Well, I was going to
And
say
there's been a lot of complaints about that on the forum too, from the Spectator.
I was going to say that when you're running a noir game, whether it's Cyberpunk or whatever, you need to mine it from the story, and you need to be paying close attention to the story. Bill is very good at turning things on its ear in mid-story. I'll give you an example. So a ship lands, and it's a Y30, Y13 freighter. It's like, I'm like, I look up, is it that ship? He goes, it's the Idiot's Array. And everything turned on its ear at that point. We're like, oh my God, he's back. Oh my God, not that guy. And it was a spur of the moment thing. He was looking at us. He was looking at the moment. And later on he said, yeah, I just came up with that at the end. And it was a cliffhanger. It was like, he brought this guy back. It was just the perfect moment because he was listening. The feedback loop was going. We're giving him stuff. He's giving us stuff. And he listened and he went and dropped it back in. And I think that's with noir detective films, with noir, but Blade Runner, any of those things, it is stuff that happens in the story that suddenly turns itself on its ear. A surprise that nobody was expecting. But to do that correctly, it needs to happen within story. You can't necessarily plan it.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back to what I said. A noir is a feeling.
Mm-hmm.
It is a tone.
Are you saying tome or tone?
Tone.
Okay.
It's dark.
Tone like a mood.
There's a lot of moral ambiguity.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of hopelessness because it is the whole point of it is
The whole
there's
point.
there's no happy endings.
Yeah, the
That's
whole
kinda what it
point
is.
of noir is to reveal something dark about the world. Not necessarily like a, ooh, big reveal, ooh, look at all this corruption going on. It's just kind of like a, hey, so just to remind you that the world isn't always bright and happy. There are dark side, there are shadows sometimes. And so it's filled with a lot of like bittersweet endings. Like, I guess a way to put this into a gaming context would be make your players compromise. Don't give them a happy ending. Make them compromise. Give them a bittersweet ending. It's not. You can't come out winning the whole thing. Like someone's gonna die that you don't want to have died over the course of it. It doesn't have to be a player character. It can be just. In general, someone dies. Whoops,
Well, they can
sorry.
leave, to Casablanca. He puts her on the plane.
It's supposed to reveal something dark about the world, and then there's a lot of tropes that go into it that you can look up on any Wikipedia page. But
See, this is why we got to have more college students on. I know. She just took a noir class. She's like, yeah, nailed it.
And the thing is, most cyberpunk, by definition, is going to be noir right off the bat.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
Because
that's
it's a dystopian world.
it is. Yeah,
Right?
Yeah,
There's I've never read a William Gibson book where the world wasn't fucked up.
right. Where there's a happy ending all the time.
Oh,
yeah,
no.
yeah.
The closest one was Idoru, but that was wrong. That's the one about the
I know. And there's an iron lung involved at the end and
well, no,
everything.
the guy that falls in love with the
Virtual.
not real person,
Yeah.
man. But it's so right off the bat, you're already, if you're running a Cyberpunk thing, you're probably running a noir game.
Yeah.
In a sense, you just need to emphasize that stuff. You need to emphasize the hopelessness of the world.
The black.
Emphasize the status of the players, the characters in the game. They're not playing corporate presidents.
Yeah.
They're not even playing worker bees in the mid-level corporations. They're probably on the street.
Yeah.
They're at the lowest rung in the economic ladder.
Yeah.
Think
That's what you need to emphasize.
You're exploring the shadows and the grit and the grime. Think Daredevil. Don't think Iron Man.
Right.
Think
Yeah, there you go.
think Casablanca. Don't think Buck Rogers.
And even if they do a mission and it comes out okay and they do actually get paid and don't get screwed,
Right. Because Megacorps.
it's not enough money to change their situation.
No.
Yeah.
They might be able to buy a new piece of equipment or maybe
Or eat.
repair something,
Yeah.
or eat or
Right.
pay rent.
Yeah.
It's
Woo!
not going to change their life.
I could get a hotel for the week. Oh, damn it.
I do that all the time.
How bad did I mess it up?
It needs to come down a little bit.
Of course.
One of my favorite noirs is actually Roger
Perfect.
Rabbit.
Little bit.
Roger Rabbit is a great homage
Wait, what'd you say?
to the
you're
detective
fine.
noir genre.
Go ahead.
And it's a great mystery film, and
It's
it
a send-up.
happens to evolve. It is and it isn't, because it's still its own thing. And you're in Rapture. You're like, what the hell's going on? And it's
I
like
love Roger.
Roger Rabbit is a
I can't finish it.
why?
I hate it.
Why?
I just can't stand it.
So you know how you have those
Weird.
Is it his
stand it.
voice? That's what my mom says. She can't stand his voice.
No, I just
all
Just
the
can't get
time
into
you
it.
pulled my ears.
All the time you pull my ears, Eddie.
So, you know that list that everybody has? It's like the exception list that when you have a significant other, you're like, well, if this person ever comes knocking on my door, I just get a yes from you that I get to go and do whatever I want, right? I think everybody has one of those. Jessica Rabbit. That's
Oh, you're fine then. Yeah.
Jessica Rabbit ever
Right.
shows up at my door. Sorry, man.
She actually has to be an animated cartoon, though. It can't be a cosplayer.
No. Jessica. I'm talking
Yeah.
Actual
Jessica
Rabbit in
She
real
shows-
life.
She shows up at my door. Sorry, Mary. I'm going to be gone for
Because I know your
60
girlfriend.
hours.
If a cosplayer dressed as Jessica
You're
Rabbit
gonna
shows
go
up at your
play
door,
patty cake?
you're dead.
We're going to go play patty cake. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I've met your girlfriend. She's a force of nature. Yeah.
Yep.
And she's got a dangerous brother.
Yeah, she totally does.
So we answer his question enough?
I don't know. Yeah.
I think so. Cyberpunk is.
We're
not,
all just blown away by Emily's answer. I'm like, well, that ended that one.
Yeah, Cyberpunk is not one of my fortes or forts, however you.
Well, okay, here's the thing. I played a really bad Cyberpunk game. I played a really bad Shadowrun game.
Yeah, but I'm sure
A
you've
lot
played
of it-
very bad
well,
regular sci-fi games and really
I
bad
did,
fantasy
but
games.
the thing about
but-
Shadowrun, and
When
I think I
haven't you
need to
played a
warn
really bad
everybody.
game?
Let me finish with my thought. Is that it's all about the planning ahead of time. You spend 2 or 3 hours buying and getting IDs made and
gearing
checking
up
and
and
gearing up and
I need
buying the
batteries for my
apartments next door.
cyber arm. Yeah.
Well, more than that, just prepping. We're going to need fake IDs. It's kind of like Mission Impossible. You need to we need to make a mask of this guy, and we need to get fake IDs. We need to get uniforms made, and then we need to check out the systems. And we need to find out the security, and then we need to find out the families of the guards so that we can blackmail them. Or all of that stuff needs to happen, and then the actual event happens in like 10 minutes. But most of it is all the prep ahead of time. Try to avoid that, and the only way to avoid that is as a GM. Being really present with your players and giving and taking. Don't have an agenda in your head. If they're going to, let's say, break somebody out of a 30-story Tokyo apartment building, and there's guards up and down, right? That's all you should do. They need to come up with the solutions, and then you should yes and the hell out of it so that they can do that. Otherwise, you're going to end up with a 5-6 hour prep session and a 10-minute game. It's boring.
I almost agree with that, except for one thing.
Yeah.
As they're casing the place, give them a real complicated, horrible wrinkle that they have to try to figure out.
Yeah.
That's watching heist films. That's always my favorite part. It's like,
Well, it's-
Brad Pitt walks in. We got a problem, or Don Cheadle walks in. We got a problem. You know what I mean? And they're
Yeah,
like,
it's
how are we
like
gonna get
that,
around that?
It's like that Firefly episode where they have to break into the hospital,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. That's right. It's a good one.
Well, we're at the junkyard. Does there happen to be a med helicopter in
Oh,
the
look, there is
junkyard?
one.
And the GM yes and the shit out of that. There totally
Really is.
But then the NPC fucks everything up when he's like, "Yeah, I'm actually going to try and turn these two in and get the reward myself." And then everything goes.
And that's
belly
what I
up.
was going to say. My favorite part about the heist film is when it goes sideways, or you think it goes sideways, and it turns out that they were just screwing over the guy that was trying to screw them over.
Yeah.
That's the best part. Which is like, yeah, we're going to take all the money and we're going to give him the bricks, and he's going to think it's the money, and then I'm going to give it to my girlfriend, who everybody thinks is cheating them, but she's actually on our side. And at the end, we all sit down on a beach and we divvy out the money, and we never see each other again. And that's the best part. But it's like when it's that double cross. But you can't necessarily. Well, the only way to do that is by paying attention to your players. And if somebody slacks you, going, dude, I want to have a NPC girlfriend who's going to actually, go with it. Go with that. Otherwise, it's going to be railroady, and it's all about the prep, and it's boring.
I found that the more
I disagree that it's... Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I found that a good plan goes a long way, but the more detailed your plans are, the more disappointed you're going to end up. Like, yes, have a plan. have a good plan, but don't plan out the conversations. Don't plan out like what you think is going to happen at the end of it. It's just have an idea, but like the more details you get, the more disappointed you're going to get when they don't do that.
I disagree that kind of game is necessarily boring. It may not be your cup of tea.
I get it.
I would love to run a game where the players had that kind of a problem and sat down and said, "Okay, we're going to go in. I'm going to send people in. We're going to send people in disguise to go through and just gather intelligence and figure out what's going on. We're going to try to see if we can find the plans for the building, and all that stuff." I love that kind of stuff.
You need to run a GURP Shadowrun then.
I won't run Shadowrun. No, I won't run Shadowrun.
All right.
I'll just do a Cyberpunk game. Except the problem with Cyberpunk now is technology made a severe turn.
Yeah, where's our flying car, man?
And it's Cyberpunk has become very quaint.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, who was it that was talking about they pulled out one of the original Cyberpunk games and they were amazed at the fact that in the Cyberpunk game they were memory's fuzzy, so I might not be 100% correct, but like they had a wireless network that could do networks across 2 rooms without any wires.
Right.
And today we're like, huh. You know.
Yeah, right?
I'm in the middle of the desert.
Yeah, I'm in the middle of the desert.
Well, not really.
Depends on what desert.
You don't have a satellite phone.
You could
I'm
still
going to space.
Going to space.
You could give it a second. If you think of the Matrix, you could still do it. They still had wireless phones. They still made it work. But I know what you're saying, because a lot of us are pretty much all Deckers now anyway, because we've got the Oracle in our pocket.
Pretty much, yeah.
You know, and that guy isn't needed anymore, because we can all like.
Well,
what's your place on the team? Because I've got it right here.
He was not just a computer user.
No, that's true.
Well, but then again, we still do have computer programmers and all the people who write the software that's in the Oracle in your pocket. So could kind of say that maybe they're kind of like the
because my kid can do it too. You were telling me about the visual programming that your kid
Scratch.
Yeah, Scratch.
Yeah, that was on the Raspberry Pi.
Yeah.
There's a lot more to it than just having Scratch, though.
Yeah.
But I think that I like when the players come up with a plan, and then as I'm listening to the plan, if they missed something, that gives me a left turn or a wrench to throw into the plan. Or when they go through and they case the joint, all of a sudden, and then they plan everything out, and they come back and they realize,
oops.
Okay, the guy that we blackmailed who's guarding the front door isn't here today. What happened to him? I don't know. He's got the flu. He's at home. Shit. What do we do?
Shit.
You can throw in that little wrench and still make it exciting.
Yeah, but I played with the GM who was like, so actually, none of you guys bought walkie-talkies, so how is it you're communicating?
There's a difference between...
Well, that doesn't mean the whole genre is not fun.
No, that's true.
There's a difference between having a plan and planning every single minor detail. Because when you plan every single minor detail, that can get a little bit boring.
Sure.
But when you have a good plan, yeah, that's cool. That's cool. But, you know, like she said, if you're like, well, then the guard's going to ask me, how are you today? And I'm going to say, I'm fine. And then I'm going to pass him the secret word of the eagle flies at night. And then he's going to say, it sure does, but only in a full moon. And then we'll know he's our guy. You know, that's when it's like, oh, come on, man, you're killing me, dog.
Right, sure.
Yeah.
I get that. Passive player feedback from Axel from the UCK.
I think it's my
Previously from Nick, previously from Germany.
So he's in the United Kingdom.
He was
originally from New York City, and previously from Germany. All right.
Of course he is. His name's Axel.
Oh, Happy Jack's crew! You were mightily reduced in numbers in this episode, and it showed. You are so much better when there are at least 3 of you in the room.
When were there only 2 of us?
That was just him and I, and you.
That's 3.
Are they talking about
you don't
last
count.
episode?
I think they're talking about last episode. I don't know what the deal is. I think he's basically talking about the episode where it was you and I and Stu.
I thought that was a really good episode.
Apparently, it's me.
I think it was.
I don't count.
I think he said it was 15. I don't know. Go ahead.
Okay, anyway. You usually manage to cover a question from a variety of angles, but I think your answer regarding the passive player with his PC mainly hiding was missing one important aspect.
Remember this one about he was Well, you'll read it. You'll remember. It was our. It was ours. It was you and I.
He could turn invisible, or no? They were playing vampire, right?
No.
Oh, I think I do remember now. Yeah.
No. Carry on. You'll remember.
I think the situation is far more serious than you can probably imagine. You're surrounded by great players all the time, in which case your suggestions, such as pulling hooks from backstories, will definitely work. However, I am almost certain they would not work on this player. Remember, it's gotten to the stage where other players point out he should not receive the same amount of XP, and yet nothing has changed. The next step is usually that the PCs and players refuse to take this character along on their adventures. My experience with these super passive players, who think they play these super cool loner characters, is that they will do anything to get out of any hooks, responsibilities, or ties. They get a call that their sister is captured. Oh, well, she was not all that special after all.
That's true.
Oh, just dropped my mic. That's funny. They get a... I read that one. Well, she was not special after all. They hear that their sire is in trouble. Too bad for him. Time for me to grow up. Etc. They are not interested in changes to their cool character concept. They do not want to face real challenges. They just want to chug along thinking they're cool.
Okay, yeah, this was the vampire game.
Yeah, it was.
Because the guy was playing a Nosferatu.
Yeah.
And he had obfuscate.
He kept obfuscating,
He would put unseen presence on him and just hide in a corner.
Yep.
Okay.
I remember this now, yeah. I see only 3 options. 1. Serious GM to player talk. I can feel that the other players are getting tired of you being so passive and not really playing along with the story. They're not going to tolerate this much longer, and for me as GM, this is not how I want to run my games. I need you to take up some of the hooks I throw at you and start interacting with the story and the other characters.
Is that fair though? I mean, really? It's like you need to start picking up my hooks. I mean, is that?
Well,
Okay.
if he's literally not picking up any hooks the entire time, he's the I'm going to sit here until you entertain me in the way that I want.
Just being an obstructionist, yeah.
Well, I wonder if it's a case where everyone else is involved and he's playing the shadowy Nosferatu who hangs about in the corner, unseen, and then when the opportunity presents itself for him to better himself without having to do anything, he does it. I wonder if that's a conversation not like this says, but a conversation of, you know what? I don't think that character concept really fits this game and this party.
There you go. All right.
Maybe we should look at a different character concept, one that's more, in line with the rest of the party and in line with where the game is going.
Because it doesn't look like you're having fun.
Yeah, because
the other players aren't having fun.
Because it could be that this guy's like, oh no, this is my concept. I totally wanted this guy to be someone.
That's an excuse.
True, but even so, maybe it's that. Let's look at a different character for you.
Yeah.
Anyway, getting back to the email. Number 2 of his only 3 options. Serious player talk. Similar to the above, but at a level harder, usually as a full-on negative feedback from all other players to the one passive players can be quite harsh.
Mm-hmm.
So basically the GM says,
Well,
hey...
you're talking about all the other players talking to him?
Yeah,
That's a bad
ganging
idea.
up on him.
It's just going to close out.
That'll actually lead to 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that would be like Stu saying, Tim, Emily, go talk to Stork, man. He's being a dick.
It'll lead directly to.
It'll lead indirectly to Stork going, F this, I'm out.
Which brings us to number 3 on the email.
Which brings number 3. Kick him out of your game. Yes, you make one person unhappy, but if you keep him, you'll make all the other players unhappy. Remember, as much as there are some bad GMs out there and bad RPG systems, there are many bad players in the world, and it's not always up to the GM and the good players to go out of their way to make things work. Sometimes a wake-up call or a kick out of the group is the better option. Keep up the good work. The simple fact that I've sent this long email shows how much your show gets me thinking. I love it!
Thank you.
Yes.
Axel, now in the UK, formerly NYC, originally Germany, Long Story. I didn't know there was a place called Long Story in Germany.
No, that's another country. Long That's where he's born.
That's where he started. He was born in Long Story,
Yeah.
then moved to Germany.
But it's in German, so I speak German.
Das
And so
ist un long story.
but it could be an extra short story, but it's so hard to listen to. People leave.
Right.
It's actually a short story, but German words are so damn long.
They are.
I think long
It's
story.
awful fun getting
I think Long Story would be a Hobbit city, a Hobbit town.
Yeah, it totally would. Except even more like Long Road.
long saga. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
But getting to the meat of this character, which is I mean, you basically have three options for. Okay, I'm reminded of a guy. He had a mental breakdown. Things happened, but he showed up for a game that I was running at one point, and he was a total obstructionist. He made the worst character he could. He didn't pick up plot hooks, and because he GM'd and he played, so he knew exactly what to do to not move the game.
Is this
forward.
on a one-time occasion? Do this or every time?
Well, after that, it was like, Dennis, you're not allowed back in the game. But at the, I mean, I was just
Probably
like,
was just in a
I was
foul
just
mood.
well, he was, but he was that way for a long time. But the point is, I spent that game trying to accommodate him, and he spent the whole game obstructing and blocking, and at that point, what do? You can't just stop the game. Everybody else has showed up, and he was a dick, and it happens. If you have players that know the structure of a game well enough, they know exactly what to do to F your game up. And if he's in a bad mood, or even he just wants to be the center of attention, they can push those buttons and make themselves the center of the game, good or bad, all night long.
we used to.
Go ahead.
So a lot of my roleplay experience has actually been playing games just like text chat based games that don't really have any regulation. There's no GM, there's no rule book.
Mushes, that
There's,
kind of stuff?
yeah, it's just like we're in a chat room and we're just playing a game. And I see a lot of people do that when there's no like rules to skirt around. People just don't participate, or they participate too much. They make a lot of Mary Sues and are just a lot of, well, I fixed this problem with a wave of my hand. And like I get a lot of those. I see a lot of people like that, and I've been that person before, where it's like, oh no, my character. I'm so into my character who is so like out of like I don't want anything to do with what's happening right now, so I'm just gonna not participate, and everyone else is going, all right, we're going to leave you behind then. Bye. And I still don't know how to fix it, so I completely understand the frustration that comes along with this. And what I've found is that it's not as easy as talking to them and saying, hey, you can't do this, because people get so connected to these characters that when we say, hey, I don't think that this is a good idea. I think we need to find a different character for you to play here. Person goes, oh no, my character's fine. It's your game that's wrong. And
What do you do? Yeah. How do you... At that point, that person's just having a bad day, and they're being a dick on purpose.
Or they're that way all the time.
well,
But
the other thing I've noticed is that it does come to a wake-up call. It's like, you can tell them all you want that you don't think that this is a good idea, that no one's having fun with this, and people will get mad and storm off and be like, oh no, this is fun, I'm doing great, and storm away. And then if you say, okay, well, come back when you actually like take my advice, and it'll take months, but they'll come back. But
I'm not the problem. Everyone else is the problem.
and then until they realize that they actually are the problem. But it takes a while. Like, it's not just, you can't
sure.
just have one
Well, that's-
conversation and be done with
Sometimes they
it.
never do.
Sometimes
That's when
it
you
takes
move-
decades, if it ever happens.
If it ever happens.
That's when you move game night to Tuesday night and tell everyone except that person.
But I mean,
They find out.
but
they-
early on,
they do.
Early on, we used to give the advice for the first like 5 or 6 seasons. Kick them out of the game. Don't play with them.
Yeah.
And then we had people call us to the carpet. It's like, look, you guys live in an area with a really high population density.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You got a lot of gamers per square mile.
Yeah.
Whereas
Yeah, we do,
some guy who lives in North Dakota and he lives in a town and there's 3 other people that play RPGs.
Those are the 3 people
That's
you got.
it.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
And you gotta play with them, because if you want to play games.
You either you have to at least try to fix it. I mean, you may end up having to kick him out because of the 4 people who play role-playing games in South Bend, North Dakota, 3 of them are having a miserable time.
Yeah.
You have to think about that at some point too. But I don't know.
I have run into people that derive pleasure in making other people miserable, and sometimes that's what they're in role-playing games for. They make grognard, or they min-max characters, and they win every combat they're in, and if they can't do that, they come up and they're an obstructionist. Hey, so the princess wants us to go rescue their kid. I'm going to leave the town, or I kill the princess. Right? And they do stuff like that to make themselves the center of attention, to win whatever it is. And they're just toxic people. And there's no good solution for them, because they have different ways of getting around it. Sometimes you don't know they're toxic. They're like a good friend of yours or whatever, and the next thing you know is like, dude, my friend's a fucking grognard min-maxer.
That's the type of person.
Shit, what do we do now?
That's the type of person who you can say, I'm starting a new game. I need you to create characters from Los Angeles. And they go, awesome. I'm a dude who lives in Hawaii.
Yeah.
And I was born in Tonga.
And I know you're going to have to play I want to play a ninja, right? Because that's what that song exemplifies, this kind of personality.
Yeah, it does.
But I want to play a ninja. They had ninjas in the Old West. They had ninjas in the 1800s.
Oh, but they had
fucking
Chinese.
Japan. I mean, it's that guy. And is there an easy solution for them? Because we run into them all the time. There isn't one. I mean, it's a case-by-case basis to deal with these personalities.
And sometimes the adult conversation ends badly.
Yeah.
But it ends, and they're gone. But yeah. Conversations are hard.
You know,
they are.
Since I started gaming with Tyler and that whole group, Tyler and Casey and Angie and Bruce, and then hooked up with all you guys, I haven't run across people like that. Before, when I gamed with other groups and so on and so forth, they were fairly common.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Happy Jacks and our fans, our listeners, I think we're all kind of lucky in that regard. I think that most of us don't see it too much anymore. But it's out there. I mean, you've got people writing in about it now. They're still out there.
And some people don't know they're doing it wrong.
There's
They
tons
don't
of
know
them
that that's
Yeah.
a bad way to play it. That's just the way they play. That's what they derive pleasure from, is making you suffer.
Well, you should always... Communication is always the best solution to a problem if you can make it work. Mm-hmm. Talking to a person is always the best, because assuming they don't know, they don't know that that's not how you're supposed to play the game. That it's more fun if you play a different way. Encourage them to branch out and choose have them play a completely different kind of character.
Yeah.
I didn't know that I could have so much more fun playing a bard until I tried it after doing my same character that I played every single time, the halfling rogue. For 4 years, I was the halfling rogue.
Bards
and then
get a
I was
bad
like,
rap.
oh, hey, look, I'm a bard. I'm having fun suddenly.
Yeah.
And now I'm playing a Viking. So, like... So,
There you go.
like, if you encourage people to branch out, maybe that'll work, but it has to be in a way that isn't saying, hey, you're doing this wrong. It needs to be a hey, I think we need to try something different as a group.
Yeah. But how many people listen to that? I mean, how many people came up to you and said, I think you need to try something other than a halfling rogue?
No one told me that I needed to try something other than a halfling rogue. I
So-
just suddenly realized that I was bored with being the halfling rogue because I would stay out of things and I wouldn't do things. So I'm going, oh no, I'm busy being sneaky in the background. And then I started playing a bard and went, oh my god, confrontation is so much more fun.
Right?
So let's say that you're in a game, and I want to ask you personally.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the party's made up of a paladin of the light, and a cleric of the light, and a druid, not of the light but of nature, so very
Of the green.
of the green, right? And you're playing a halfling rogue, and you guys go through a couple of adventures, and it's okay. And then the GM comes up to you and says, you know, we've got 3 really kind of holy people here, and we're kind of playing a holy game, and you're playing a halfling rogue. It's not really fitting in the game or with the party. maybe we could get you to try something else. How would you take that?
So it's hard to answer that question because as me personally, it depends on who said it and what they actually said to preface the question. Because if they're like, hey, so we've kind of got this thing going and what you're doing isn't really working, let's work together and find something different. It needs to be said in a way that doesn't feel like they're saying you're doing this wrong. But
so it's how it's said, so it's not like an attack.
It's how it's said more than anything.
Okay.
And geeks are such great communicators. I'm sure that's never going to go wrong.
Exactly.
Right?
All the tact ever.
All the tact ever.
They're so good with emotions and words and talking and stuff.
Because the
You're
last
playing one character, play a different one!
Sorry, the last time someone gave me a actually very valid criticism about something that I did with one of my characters, they asked me for like a writing sample, and so I just gave them a writing sample, and they're like, this writing sample doesn't fit with your character, based on what you've told us. I think you need to go back and look at what you've done and come back to us when it's better. The last time someone did that to me, I was so mad.
Did you tell them that they were number one?
Yes! Well, no, I didn't.
You're number one.
I didn't say it to their faces, but I walked away and was like, that is so... How dare you say that to me? You asked for a writing sample. You even said that the writing sample didn't have to have anything to do with my character, and I just happened to make it about my character. Why are you attacking me like this? And I ended up like completely walking away altogether and never came back to them. I've never spoken to that person since.
Wow. Okay.
So like it really does depend on how it's said. But if the best suggestion is not to say you're doing this wrong, but rather to say, I have a suggestion for how we can make this better together. Don't put it on the person, make it a group thing. Don't make it a bad thing, make it a good thing. Like, hey, you're doing great. Let's do something else.
I don't know. I think a lot of people might see through that.
They might, but at least you didn't say they suck.
Listen.
So what you're saying is use the compliment sandwich. You're playing your character great. It doesn't really fit with the game.
Right.
But let's get you a character that you can play really well in the game.
Right.
I don't think your character's really meshing well with the other characters here. So unless we're going to make that a plot point, I think we need to go with a different route.
I have this idea for your character, except that they're going to need to have some holy properties to make this work correctly. Can we retool your character a bit so that she has a divine background? Because it's going to blend in with the other characters as well. I can work with you on this.
I have a great idea for your halfling rogue character, but it has to be a cleric. And
it can't be a halfling.
And it can't be a halfling.
We're going to make your halfling rogue
Can we make that happen?
a bard. You can still be the thief, but we'll add some magic.
Can we suddenly just make your halfling rogue like a paladin, like suddenly bless your halfling rogue halfway through this campaign?
Well, you know, the god
you
of-
can still be the rogue,
The god of
but
thieves.
this will be great. So you are suddenly more powerful and you have magic. I think this is going to be fun. Let's go for
The
it.
god of thieves needs a thief
That's
paladin.
true. They do need paladins.
Yeah.
Or paladin.
That's the way I think.
Don't even do it. Just like don't even ask them. Just suddenly, like
Just
in the middle of
give it to 'em.
campaign,
Suddenly-
just
suddenly-
like, and I've blessed your character.
been
You
blessed
are now
with
the
a light.
paladin. You
Yeah.
are now the paladin of the god Viridian.
You've now taken on a level of paladin. Enjoy the gift. Oot.
I don't know. That's a tough thing. You know, how do you correct a character or correct a player mid-course without pissing them off? And there's no easy answer. It's going to be a case-by-case basis, and I know people in the best of intentions piss people off.
Yeah.
I've done it with good friends of mine. I've had discussions with people, and people take things wrong, or they're just not in the right mood to hear it, and they're mad, and they're furious.
Or some things are just hard to hear.
Some things are just hard to hear.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not good. It's not easy.
Not good. Not good.
All right. I'm going to end it.
It's good. It's just not easy. Okay.
There you go.
Bye, everyone.
There it is. It's the Russian national anthem.
We're listeners of Happy Jack's RPG Pod.
Thank you for joining us for Season 19, Episode 18 of Happy Chicks RPG Podcast. My name is Stu.
Stork!
Douchebags galore.
Kobe Tim.
We'll see you next week. Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific time. This Sunday, you can watch Session 3 of Blood, Blade, and Tusk. And then on Monday, we have
Session 3 where magic happens.
Rifts, Savage Rifts, the Tomorrow Legion, and then, are they playing D&D on Saturday? I don't remember.
Why are you shouting?
Because there's music blaring in my ears. Why do you think I'm shouting? Anyway, that's it. Thank you very much. We'll leave you with a song. There might be D&D tomorrow at 8, but I don't know. No, at 5. 4?
Niner.
Take care.
Bye,
Song.
chat room.
Check the schedule.
Bye, chat room.
Happy Jack's podcast will be douchebag song.
Room for a lad that's come from seas.
Hey, jolly broom man,
That gladly now would take his ease.
and therefore make me room man.
To France, the Netherlands, and Spain.
Hey, jolly broom man,
I crossed the seas and back again.
and therefore make me room man.
Yet in these countries there lived I.
Hey, jolly broom man,
And valiant soldiers I've seen die.
and therefore make me room man.
100 gallants there I killed.
Hey, jolly broom man,
Besides a world of blood I've spilled.
and therefore make me room man.
In Germany, I took the town.
Hey, jolly broom man,
Through the walls there upside down.
and therefore make me room man.
At Tilbury Camp with Captain Drake.
Hey, jolly broom man,
I make the Spanish fleet to quake.
and therefore make me room man.
When the Spanish fleet did call,
Hey, jolly broom man,
I drove them back with fiery balls.
and therefore make me room man.
From Erin's Isle they held their boast.
Hey, jolly broom
So
man,
I ran their ships into the
and
coast.
therefore make me room man.
At Holland's Leaguer there I fought.
Hey, jolly broom man,
But the service proved too hot.
and therefore make me room man.
From the league returned I.
Hey, jolly broom man,
Naked, hungry, cold and dry.
and therefore make me room man.
But here now come past the globe.
Hey, jolly broom man,
And I'm returned as poor as Job.
and therefore make me room man.
And now I'm safe returned here.
Hey, jolly broom man,
Here's to you in a cup of English beer.
and therefore make me room man.
Here's to you in a cup of English beer.
And therefore make me room man.
The preceding program has been a presentation of the Angry Folk Media Empire.
Bum, 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 bum.